be helping me film. Okay. Alrighty. Welcome back, guys. Today's video is me going over the 5 things that I wish I knew better before I started playing Tarkov. So as you guys know, I recently downloaded Escape From Tarkov and I've started playing that, been in a few raids now, I've kind of got my head around the game a little bit better. It's a very, very challenging game. There's a lot going on. It's a pretty steep learning curve for someone like me who's been playing shooters for a long time. It's a fairly slower paced game, but there's a lot more going on that requires your attention and that catches you out. So Tarkov it brings a lot of the elements of games like Rust and survival games like DayZ into it, but with a heavy overtone of just being super in-depth as far as all your gear, your guns, ammo types, armor, and makes you conscious of that. And there's an economy to the game similar to a Counter-Strike. It's a lot more engaging and a lot more rewarding if you play smart. Hopefully the thing and the tips I can give you guys today will help you have a more enjoyable experience to start with and kind of get hooked on it rather than get kind of overwhelmed with it and get defeated and deflated about it and annoyed at the game and just go back to playing whatever you used to. Because to me there seems like there's a lot of longevity in this game, and then there's a lot of benefits also playing in groups if you can find one. Let's start with number 1. Hold on, I gotta let a dog out. You wanna go outside? You go outside. I'll leave this door open, are you gonna come inside again? Just go with that look like, yeah, she definitely will. So what is raiding? Raiding is the main gameplay loop within the game. You start by hitting Escape From Tarkov, you select whether or not you're a scav or a PMC. Scavs are the hunters in the game. PMCs are your character that you can build over here in the character, and that all goes to that. Whereas if you start off as a scav, they give you a pre-defined loadout, they'll give you a gun, a little bit of armor, attack vest, all kinds of stuff. And you just run out and you kill. You're a hunter, you do what you gotta do. Whereas PMC is the character that you build. This one has a lot more risk, but this one is the one you build up over time. This is the one you attribute stats to, and this is where the RPG elements come into. A scav is just a bit of, it's an easy way to get loot. So if you start off as a scav, they give you a loadout. If you can manage to not die, you get a free set of guns, an attack rig, and a small pouch and stuff. So that can help you get stuff back if you've just recently died. And scav's got a 10-minute cooldown. So you can only do a scav run, and then once that's finished, so once you die, it's 10 minutes from there. Whereas PMC is available all the time as long as your character is healthy. Because if you die and you get shot, that follows you. You have to heal that after you finish. So PMC, next, pick one of the locations to escape from. Customs will be the default one that you hit all the time. You will be set up with a rolling time phase. For everyone who is new to the game, do not select nighttime. You will wander around and get shot by people with thermals. Just do daytime. Learn 24-hour time as well, because you will need it. 9 AM. Next, you won't have a map, don't worry about that. Hit next, don't worry about offline mode. Here you can insure your gear. Now, I won't go into that because that's a more in-depth variant, and I don't feel like I have enough money or things worth keeping to do. So no. Next, down here is your pouch, and this was the container I spoke about before. So best to put things in here that you either need for quests, or in the instance of that I've slowly learned after losing a whole bunch of raids, is put your health items in here that help you heal up. In your main gameplay loop, keep your pouch stacked with your healing items and then just use them as you need them. Then you will get to this screen. Now if you've got mates, this is where you can add them in. You've all got to make sure you get to this same screen, so you got to go to customs and also pick the same current in-game time. And then you can either hit start looking for a group, or if you want to play solo, you just hit ready up and it will start loading you in. From there you get dropped into the site. When you spawn, it will come up in the top right with a list of the exfil locations. Keep an eye on those if you don't notice them when you log in, because some others, you hear gunshots or what have you. You can spawn into a round that's already started as well, especially as a scav. So you may not have the full 45 minutes in that round when you spawn in. Hit the 0 key to see how much time is left in your round so that you don't run out of time. Ask Booty, he knows. He got a sick run and then he lost it because he was a rookie. And then from there you need to make your way to the waypoints, and we will discuss why that is a lot more challenging than it should be in the following points. The phrase we're going to use a lot in regard to this game is you need a lot of game sense, which requires you to put in work. It sounds bad because it's supposed to be games, supposed to be fun, but when you put in the work, you get the rewards back from it, where it's a lot easier to play. You can make call-outs with your mates, you all know what's going on, you're able to just roll in, steamroll some punks, roll in with pistols and clap people in the head and they drop and you get all their gear and they're all sweaty with their tactics and helmets and I'll get your blood. So game sense kind of flows on into point number 2 I want to make for you guys. The more efficient ways to loot players. So you play in Tarkov, you see a random, don't know if it's a player or if it's an NPC, that's cool. You pop him, you see him drop, you reckon it's pretty safe, you go try and loot him. Now the F key loots and does everything in this game. Remember the F key. It up. If there's any weapons that you haven't seen before yet, you need to hit the middle mouse button as a shortcut. Auto examines it so that you can quickly get through it and figure out what that item is, so that if you want it, you can loot it. So auto examine anything that's blacked out, move things across. You can either click and drag, as I just did then. If you have smaller items that are going to go in backpacks, then you can control click, right mouse button click on it, and it will automatically move it over. And then on each individual player, you'll need to physically search their tack rigs, you'll need to physically search their pockets and their backpacks, and then repeat the process. If there's items in there you've never seen before, middle mouse click on them, see what they are. Go through as much of the player as you can. Obviously don't do this while you're under fire or still in a gunfight, otherwise you're sitting there unable to defend yourself, you can get popped in the side of the head. Sometimes it's quicker to just move your items across from your current backpack into the one that's on the player. Once yours is empty, discard it and then just move that backpack if it's better, or for whatever reason if you want it, move it back onto you. Try not to spend too much time looting. The more time you spend looting, the easier it is for you to get killed, and when you die you're not going to be able to keep any of the things you've looted anyway. So prioritize doing it as quickly as you can, and then get in, get out, get it done. The best thing to do if you're a scav or if you're, hunting, watch dead bodies. Someone will come past and be like, oh, I've just found some body. Poof, poof, done. Alrighty, so that brings us to point number 3. You need to know where you're going. So when you spawn in, there is no map. There is no, aside from the brief couple of seconds where they tell you where the exfil location is, the rest is up to you. So having access to maps, I will pop a link underneath for access to some really quite decent 2D maps that you can keep up on your second screen or on your phone or print off. Use them as a reference point and try and work out where you are. It's a bit disorientating at the start, but especially if you've got a guide or just with a couple of playthroughs, you'll start to understand where you are, be able to sight things and points of interest easily and get your bearings and then go that way. Otherwise you'll get lost and run out of time, and then all of your efforts, you won't be able to exfil with all the things you've looted anyway. I've been shot while looking at the maps before because I didn't know where I was, and that's gonna happen. Please become okay with dying, and dying for stupid reasons, because that's gonna happen a lot while you learn this game. There's a very steep learning curve and it will probably put a lot of people off, but I guarantee you once you start to get the hang of it and you get that adrenaline rush from your first set of kills, I'm gonna show you my first one, and it was a headshot. Pretty good.
Oh, down on the floor. I have no idea if I got him or not.
All of the work that you do makes those times so much sweeter. and that's what will keep you hooked on this game. Point number 4. Not all players are PvP players. Not everyone you come across in the game shooting at you is actually another player. So even in online mode, they load in bots to help fill out servers. There are certain positions marked on those maps that we showed earlier of positions where scavs will be. There's bosses and other NPCs within the game, as well as other players. So the only way to find that out is if you do manage to get to the dead body after you shoot it, go there, and in next to the pocket screen there will actually be a little thing for dog tags, and if they've got dog tags it'll tell you who you've killed. Take them because they're actually worth a fair bit of money, and you can get some pretty good early game money from taking the dog tags off of actual players. Okay, quickly, point number 5, and this is just something to try and encourage people to play, is don't stress too much about the realism and all the gun details and the dog coming into my room or not. Be gone, Satan! Don't stress too much about it. All the different guns, all the different mods, the fact that you can tear all the guns apart and put a different scope on, which scope fits where, which ammo fits where. Get your favourite default loadout of AK-47U or ADARs are pretty common early on as well. Work out what mags you need for those and what ammo they take. Keep an eye out for those. Same with Mosins. Mosins are handy if you like sniping. There's shotties and stuff like that as well if you're that way inclined. It all comes down to you. Don't stress about the realism. Try and link up with buddies. Hell, message me. I'll come play. Just get in there, try and enjoy yourself, try and get your first couple of confirmed kills and loot them and feel the adrenaline rush and the reward of learning the game properly, and guarantee you'll be having a good time. So hopefully those things have helped you guys get a better understanding of the game, and hopefully you're watching this before you've had your first tilted experience of getting killed out of nowhere. And links to everything that you need underneath. Much appreciate the watch. Hopefully we can get into some better versions of me playing the game rather than dying and giving everyone my kits. And yeah, happy gaming, be good to each other, and peace!